All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to give it a couple seconds for people to filter in. While we're waiting, just give us a little shout about where you're joining from. I think the three of us are all over the country, so we have it pretty well covered.
New Jersey, nice.
Jersey, Oregon. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started now so we can get into the information. Thank you again for joining us today. My name is Troy Jenkins. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here at ACHS. We have been doing this series of webinars to address the most popular topics that we get in admissions, the things that are on people's mind the most. Today's is going to be about making a transition to ACHS with the credits that you're carrying with you, how to order transcripts, how it works at ACHS to review those and get them applied. We get a fair amount of questions about, every school does it a little bit differently. So hopefully today we're able to illuminate that a little bit for you and, make you feel a little bit better about the process. So a quick housekeeping before we get started. You'll notice that the line has been muted. We are recording today's webinar so that we can send it out to folks afterwards. And this just helps us keep the sound quality the best. But we do want to interact with you. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Everyone should have the ability to chat with host and panelists or everyone. We would just request that you switch your "to" in the chat to everyone so that folks can see your question and answer as they come in. That'll be great. So let's jump in a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of a introduction about ACHS. For those who may not be as familiar, ACHS, the American College of Healthcare Sciences, we have been around in some form or fashion for the last 45 years. Started by Doreen Peterson, our founding president in New Zealand, have gone through some name changes, but from the beginning, we have been a distance education school in the holistic health and wellness space. So long time developing this content and helping our students learn all they can about the different modalities that interest them and take it out into their communities to impact the world around them. So one thing that we're very proud of is our accreditation. We're accredited by DEAC, which is the Distance Education Accrediting Commission. And we've been accredited with them since 2003. And just last year, we're updated for a 5-year renewal with them. So we're happy to be accredited with them and make sure that what you learn is going to get you the information that you're after. We're also a certified B Corporation. Not everyone knows that about us, but what a B Corp is a set of standards that you have to apply for and be recognized for that, companies of all different industries they put people and the planet before profits. And so we're happy and proud to be certified B Corp since 2016. We offer a variety of learning pathways in the accredited programs that we are mostly going to talk about today, starting at diplomas and certificates, moving into associate's and bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, grad certificates, and now even our Doctor of Science. So we have the full gamut of professional pathway covered there, all the way up to a terminal degree in the doctorate level, if you so choose. We also have a series of micro-credentials that are non-degree. You can purchase them and take them at a self-pace if that is a better fit for you. Also, continuing ed credits if you are in a space where you need to keep that up. Some of those micro-credentials can count towards that, and some are labeled just for continuing ed. So just a little bit of a background about ACHS and where we came from. Next, I'm going to touch on our mission and vision, something we like to talk about in all of our webinars, so that you get a sense for what we hold important and what we're trying to do with ACHS. Our mission is to lead the advancement of evidence-based integrative health and wellness education through experiential online learning and sustainable practices. And what we see happening if we complete our mission is to make integrative health and wellness education accessible to a global community, promoting sustainable and healthy futures for all. So we believe that the information that we teach, the students that we support, that goes further than just the walls of the school, just a lesson plan, and takes it out into the community so you can impact the world around you. And we want to help enable that for you. What we also like to do is sort of connect our mission and vision for each one of these webinars to what we're going to be talking about today. And to me, what jumps out the most in our mission and vision statement is that word sustainable. So there's a lot of things that can connect, but as if you're on the call today, you've probably been to more than one school. You may be curious about how those credits are going to transfer. And we also know that, if you've put in time at another institution and maybe it wasn't the right fit for you, that when you do find the place that's the right fit for you, you want to try to bring in as much as you can. The things that you want to learn about is going to be ahead of you, but the things that you've already learned that may be parallel, we want to try to give as much credit to that as we can, so it's a sustainable start, which makes the access to the education a little bit more broad. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, like what is our process? How might that differ a little bit from what you could be used to, but also just to answer any questions that might pop up. So we are going to have time for question and answer, but today, if you have something that pops up, just go ahead and throw it in the chat. I'll try to answer the questions along the way, or we'll just interrupt Amanda and Holly and get them to answer along the way. So enough said from my angle. Let me pass it along to the experts today. We're joined by Amanda Heller and Holly Rasmusson. Holly, why don't you kick us off? Give us a little bit of background on you and your experience in this space.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name's Holly Rasmusson, and I've been here at ACHS for about 3 years now, working in the office of the registrar. I've worked in the registrar's office or academic records for over 15 years. I've worked across large institutions, medium-sized institutions, and smaller institutions, and so I have a broad range of, how transfer of credit works in all those different situations. What I love about working at ACHS is that I can really give an individualized evaluation when I do transfer of credit evaluations for students. And I really like that concept of being able to look holistically at one student record and be able to, help students out as much as I can as far as transfer of credit goes. I've worked in transfer of credit at 3 different institutions, and I'm the main person that does the evaluations here at ACHS.
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks, Holly. Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Hello, everyone today. My name's Amanda, and I've actually been with ACHS for about close to 11.5 years now, and in higher ed for about 20 years. So I have quite a background of working at a variety of schools like Holly, but have chosen ACHS as sort of my home. I absolutely adore working with the students here, and honestly helping students find the right program pathway, navigate all this confusing stuff like transfer of credit, to make the best plan possible and help you get started in school. But I've worked different roles within admissions, and including even part of our VA department for a while. So I'm very fluent in regards to transcript ordering, questions to ask, and when to utilize our registrar's office and Holly's expertise to determine what's going to set you up and potentially maximize your transfer credit.
Excellent. Thank you for leading us today. I'm going to drop into the background and run the slides for everybody, but Amanda, why don't you start us off with where transfer of credit begins, which is gathering those transcripts.
Yes. So transcripts. One thing we always want to be really upfront about is we have to have official transcripts in order to look at potential transfer of credit and just to meet overall admissions requirements. And what that's going to look like is honestly a little bit different for every single student. So just starting with the foundational sort of programs for anyone who's looking at an undergraduate program, certificates, diplomas, associate degree, bachelor's. If you have attended college, we can go ahead and we'll support you and work with you to order all of your official transcripts. We do not need your high school transcript if we have college ones. We can have a student complete a high school self-certification form, which is pretty much a document that says, I swear I graduated high school, and use your college transcripts to meet admissions. And then upon acceptance, that's when Holly would review all of those transcripts for transfer of credit. Graduate students, we only need your bachelor's degree and higher. Sometimes students have been to more than one school. That's okay. At the end of the day, it's the bachelor's degree and that conferral degree that meets the requirements. But if you are looking at one of our master's programs and you've been to graduate school before, we want you to order those as well, because no matter what your master's degree is in, we're going to make sure we double check and have that reviewed for transfer of credit, just in case. For doctoral students applying to our doctorate program, we need your official transcripts from your master's degree. If you have more than one master's degree, we will want all of those, as well as any other professional schooling you've done. I've had students have been to medical school, maybe into an acupuncture program, worked on a PhD or doctorate elsewhere, you know, a lot of different situations. So we just need master's degree and higher. One unique caveat is our military students. We do have different policies and compliance for anyone using a source of VA benefits. We want to, again, make the process as smooth as possible, but that caveat is no matter what program you're applying for, we are required to have literally all transcripts on file. We know that this can be, especially if someone served or was a family member of someone serving. You may have moved a lot, attended some different schools across the US or even online, but again, your admissions advisor would totally be supporting you and helping you pull those together. Lastly, international students, a little bit more unique. If you're international student, you've attended school outside the US, we do need your transcripts. If they are provided to you in English, you can send those directly to your admissions advisor or the registrar's office. If the transcripts are provided to you in a non-English language, they will have to be translated and then evaluated for us to accept them. But again, if there's any, you know, even a little bit of unsure, you're not sure, you know, what step to take, your admissions advisor will walk you through it. I think the only thing I missed is if you are a student who has no college experience, that's okay. We're just going to have you get your high school transcript and then or GED transcript, and we'll help you through that process as well and finding the best place to order that. Next slide. So you know how I mentioned the high school self-certification? This is a fantastic way for us to relieve a little bit of the pressure for transcripts. So once again, if you are a student applying to any program, certificate up through bachelor's degree, and you have previous college transcripts, we, at the time of enrollment, will just have you complete the high school self-certification form. And that will meet your high school transcript requirements. We're excited to start making this available when COVID started. And the Oregon Department of Ed provided us this, honestly, the flexibility to provide this so we don't have to always order those. So your transcripts from college will meet all the admissions requirements for applying to any of the undergrad programs. Next slide. So now the big part is, how do we order those transcripts? It can be a little, maybe a lot confusing. Every school has a different process. So here's a couple tips. One is, we want to make sure you always have transcripts sent directly to our college. Any transcripts that have been sent to you, the student first or initially, unfortunately, we cannot consider those official. So if you've attended more than one college and you're not sure how to get going, your admissions advisor will walk you through it. A lot of times we'll do the busy hard work and research where to find the schools and provide you the links. Most colleges, you either submit an online request form for the transcript, or you would submit one through email or fax. A lot of colleges use third-party transcript services such as Parchment and Clearinghouse, and those secure e-services make your life so easy. You submit the online request and our registrar's office receives those virtually. Some online requests are still gonna only provide mail options, but we'll make sure you have our address so you can have those sent, again, directly to the campus. If you're not sure about a school possibly being closed, or maybe they changed names, we'll also assist you with that process. Often we can find that information by doing a little bit of Googling or going directly to the State Department of Education. So for example, this morning I had a student who attended an accredited massage program in another state that no longer is open. I was able to help her navigate into the state website, find out where the records are being held so she can submit that request today. So we're always here to assist you step by step and make the process, again, as stress-free as possible so you can just click, order, and move forward with the process. Anything to throw in or ideas, suggestions, Holly, on ordering transcripts?
No, I think that's great to cover that every place is going to be a little bit different. And so requesting those, just make sure that if you are working through like a third party, that you just choose the correct drop down. Lots of places will just have you choose the school name of where you'd like to send those. If not, that's where you can input our email address. But that's really the only way we can receive those and have those be official. They can't come directly from the school via email. It would have to be through those third parties or mailed from the school.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Traditional email is not considered secure and private. So if you contact a school's registrar and they say they're just going to email it over, that is immediately considered unofficial. So you want to confirm if they're sending it through a secure service or if they can go ahead and put it in the mail and have it officially stamped and sealed. Awesome. Next slide. International transcripts. This can be the most confusing. I have students in the US who've attended school outside the US. I have students who live internationally and taken classes at different international schools and everything in between. So number one is any students who attended a college outside the US and that transcript, if it's not in English, we are required to, the only official transcript we can receive is once it's been translated into English and then fully evaluated by the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. So that is a very important step. That, again, this is if your transcripts are not in English. Once that translation and evaluation is completed, you can, part of your order of that evaluation is you're gonna list where you'd like a copy of that formal official evaluation sent. And you'll have it sent directly to the college. So just like the transcripts have to come directly to us, the evaluation must. A general report with the translation and degree equivalency is completely sufficient for admissions. However, if you did complete an undergrad or graduate program and you'd like to look and potentially maximize transfer of credit, you will have to have that evaluation completed via a course-by-course report. So it is a separate evaluation step or an additional evaluation step, and that's very important. And of course, if anyone has any questions navigating the ins and outs of that, we'll support you. And we have resources to ensure you use a member of the NACES as well for your evaluations. We want to make sure that you complete the right steps to, again, make your process smooth in the admissions process. And of course, let us know any questions you may have today as we're going through this as well. Next step or slide. Ooh, so we've been touching on this back and forth. Do you want to take this one on, Holly? Official?
Yeah,
Official.
sure. Yeah, it was kind of what we covered when ordering from a third party, that you never really want to have anything emailed directly to us unless it is through that third party like Parchment or NSC when you're on your other institution's website and they're asking how to get that transcript to us. If it is through one of those third-party vendors, feel free to enter in that email address, and they will send that directly to us because they're acting as a facilitator for the other institution. So it's like it's coming directly from the other institution. I think that's the key thing to keep in mind, that we have to have it go from school to school, that it can't have any steps in between. So anything sent directly to you as the student and then sent on to us, we cannot accept. Anything that's been opened from the sealed envelope, we cannot accept. And so if you are mailing paper transcripts, those just need to come directly to us, and then we make sure to open those in the official process and get that into your file and record that as being part of your file.
Yeah. Quick question, Holly. If a student is given a sealed envelope and told to mail it to us on the school's behalf, that becomes unofficial then, correct?
We want things to come directly from the school, correct? And a lot of times in those situations as well, what I have found personally is that if it is like an older transcript and then that's being mailed on to us, we want a more currently issued transcript to make sure we're getting the most up-to-date information on the student record. There might be current semester grades missing from anything that's been issued prior. And so we want the most up-to-date student record sent to us directly from the school. That's going to be the most helpful in making sure that that gets to us correctly, officially the first time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next slide. Transfer of credit. Holly, I'm going to let you take over since this is your expertise.
Yeah, sure. So as Amanda was saying, they will help you out during the admissions process of getting all of those transcripts in and part of your record and then on to our office for review. So you don't need to submit multiple versions of transcripts unless they come in and they're deemed as unofficial, or we find that, hey, maybe we see some in-progress grades here in this last semester maybe you attended. Make sure to get us an up-to-date version of that final transcript. But there's no need to keep submitting additional copies of the same information. Those will just be sent automatically on to our office. You don't need to specially request that or get multiple copies. It is free of charge. Some institutions do charge to have transfer credit evaluated and added to your record, but we do not charge for that service here at ACHS. And each one comes in once your file's complete. It will be passed on to our office for review. And we look at each individual student file kind of start from the beginning. We make sure that all documents are in place. That's why it's kind of important to have the evaluation done once all of those final transcripts that are official are received, so that I have a clear picture, or our office has a clear picture of everything that you've done over the course of your academic career, to make sure that we maximize that transfer credit.
My advice with this as well is order all transcripts, even if you think something may not roll over. Because our goal in that mission of sustainability is to try to save everyone as much time and possible, or time and money in their program. If you've already invested that much time into your previous schooling, let's try to maximize that. Because I had a student the other day, she had a different major, was nothing related to holistic health. She was not going to order the 2 transcripts or 2 additional transcripts, and I encouraged her to, and we ended up getting like 4 more transfer classes towards some gen eds to come over. So, and again, we want to see you save the time and money and shorten your program, especially students trying to wrap up their bachelor degree programs. And nobody wants to have to retake a course they've already taken, right? If we got through math and passed it, let's not take it again. So awesome. Any questions so far? Again, anyone attending today, if you have questions, don't be afraid to shoot them into the chat box for us, okay? Next slide. So Holly, what is it exactly you're looking for? Because we already mentioned that we take the time to do a holistic review. What does that look like from your point of view?
Yeah, there's definitely some things that we start at looking at overall, things like accreditation. So as those transcripts are received, we evaluate those institutions to make sure that they are accredited and meeting our accreditation standards. Once we determine that they are an accredited institution through the Department of Education here in the US, then we can move on to the next step, which is the calendar system. I always look at that as the second point. I want to make sure I know how many credits are going to be coming over into our system. We operate off the semester credit system, which is 15-week semesters. Some institutions operate on the quarter system, which is a little bit of a shorter, more condensed. They have typically 3 10-week sessions. And so just the amount of time you're studying the subject is going to be different in each of those different systems. And so if you've attended a quarter school and you're now coming here to ACHS and we are a semester institution, then the way that those credits come over might not be a 1-to-1 ratio of each class. The most typical example I use is if it's a 3-quarter credit class, it's only going to come over as 2 credits here. That doesn't automatically mean that you're not going to receive that transfer of credit. What I like to do is look and make sure that even if you have maybe fewer credits, if you've met the content of the course, you might have, different courses broken down in different ways at those quarter schools. So I can take a combination of classes that you've maybe taken at a quarter school for fewer credits in each class, and then bring them over here to take care of one of our one of our courses here as transfer credit. So that's typically what I want to do. I want to familiarize myself and make sure that you've taken them at an accredited institution. I know how those credits are going to convert to our courses here at ACHS to make sure you've taken the right amount of time in a subject. And then I'll take a look at the grades. It does have to be a C or a better to transfer. C minuses and below will not transfer. And then the content of the course has to be comparable at the other institution, to cover all the learning outcomes here in our course. We want to make sure that you have that breadth of knowledge, that we're not going to be saying that, you don't want to be moving on in courses and not have that knowledge. But then, like Amanda was saying, we also don't want you repeating coursework either. So we want to make sure to give you that transfer of credit if you've covered that content. And then we also want to make sure that the levels are aligned. So this has to do with like remedial coursework that might be offered at other institutions. We cannot take remedial or developmental coursework. It has to be college level. So college level courses are going to come in for our associate's and bachelor's degrees at the undergraduate level, and then graduate courses can only come in for other graduate courses, doctoral courses for doctoral courses. Everything has to match across the different levels.
Quick question, Holly. So I know you mentioned courses must be comparable by level of study. I think this is a great time to point out that sometimes the title of a class does not match across colleges either, because I've seen English classes be poetry, literature, actual composition. So
Correct. Yeah,
I
that's a really
maybe
good
you could
point that
speak to like,
every
you're not just looking at the number and, you know, the title of the class, you're actually go deep into the content.
That's a really good point. Every institution is going to title their classes differently. Every institution is going to have a different course numbering system. And
Mhm.
so there are some standards. Typically you'll see 100 level courses being for freshmen, and then those upper division courses being maybe 300 or 400 levelly numbered and above. But that's not always standard across every institution. And so, yes, I go in and I look through every single course description and make sure that that content matches up to come into the correct categories here to satisfy those credits here.
Mhm.
So the title of the course and the number of the course are just kind of like guide markers for me to think that, oh, this one might be something that could come over, but I'm always looking more in depth to see what's actually covered in the class.
Yeah, so I find students are pleasantly surprised because they'll find, I didn't think that would come over, but the course content matched one of our classes. And if there's ever a question about why something didn't transfer over, it's easy for us to explain to you like how it did match or did not match up, because we never want you to wonder. So always ask.
Definitely.
Next slide. Ooh, maximum allowable credit. So although we want you to maximize your transfer credit, there is some basic compliance we have to follow with our creditor and Department of Ed. Holly, can you talk to us what this looks like?
Yeah, so each level is going to have a different maximum allowable credit that can come over based on the number of credits that are offered in that particular program or degree level. And so it's definitely, the ratio is relative to how many credits are being taught. So at the associate's level, we require 60 minimum credits for an associate's degree. And so we can only award 36 credits. At the bachelor's level, it's going to be a maximum of 90 credits out of 120 credits. And then for master's degrees, those are typically only 36 credits. And so the maximum is going to be lower. It's going to be 18 credits. That's the maximum that could come in as transfer of credit. And at the doctoral level, it's only 9. And so we also look at like the overall amount of credits that are taken at schools that don't offer bachelor's degrees. I myself have never run into a student where this maximum has been reached. So that's typically not an issue, but we do look at that as well, that no more than 2 years of that can come in from schools that don't offer baccalaureate degrees. Once we do reach a maximum level of credit, if I'm doing an evaluation that has reached that maximum level, I want to work with the admissions counselor and the student to kind of help select what's going to be most beneficial for them to bring in. Maybe they want to bring in certain sets of classes and not others. But when we do run up against that, we definitely work with each individual student.
Awesome. Next slide. Ooh, here's your advice track. Starting with, honestly, that was my biggest advice, is if you're not sure credit will transfer, still order the transcripts.
Yes,
Let's
it's very
save you,
beneficial. Yeah, to
let's
have
save you as
all of
much
them.
money and time as we can, right?
Absolutely. And like I was talking before about maybe taking a combination of courses, if you courses that are maybe not meeting the credit level at some of your schools, I want to see everything, because I might be able to get you that extra class by seeing, oh, they took, 2 credits of, for example, medical terminology at this school, but only 1 credit here. Well, I can put those together, and as long as they've met the credits and content, then I can go ahead and give you transfer of credit here at ACHS. So you're not having to repeat coursework. So yeah, definitely submit everything that you can that is college level for review. And that includes things like CLEP examinations, and AP courses, things that you've taken in high school that they offer college level credit for.
Mhm.
We just need to have those official transcripts sent directly to us, just like any other institution that you might have attended, so that we can evaluate those. And then for the dual enrollment credits, that can be a little bit confusing because you would have taken those during high school and they might be part of your high school record, but we always want to see that college level work from the institution that you took it from the college or university that you took that from. And you can just have that sent over for evaluation with all of your other college transcripts for us to take a look at and evaluate.
Yep. And just to throw out here too is when we say transcripts, and if you've served or are serving in the military, we also want your military transcripts. We fully review those for transfer of credit as well.
That's right. We want to see those JSTs come in or Air University transcripts come in. There's definitely college level credit usually contained on those transcripts. And I want to make sure that we've taken a look at all the possibilities there. We here at ACHS don't have any time limits or expiration on credit. So even if you took courses back, several decades ago, we still want to see that. And we want to make sure that we're evaluating those courses, especially gen ed credits. Those typically don't change a lot. And so things like, sociology classes or English classes, we'll still be able to evaluate those and take those in. There is a point on this slide about continuing education and micro-credential courses that are not considered college level credits. Those can be notated on the transcript, usually with a course number that's going to tell you it's continuing education. Just like remedial credits have certain course numbers that tell us that those are not college level. There also might be an indication at the top of the transcript that says this is continuing education credit or CEUs. Those we cannot take, but a lot of times those are mixed in as part of the transcript with your other college level work. So it just depends on the institution that you've taken those from.
So although we cannot use hours earned from continuing ed or micro credentials, if we have those to review though, even from an unofficial way, because you've done that professional study, it is very common for Holly to make professional recommendations on challenge exams. So using your professional experience and knowledge and that professional training to maybe test out of a class instead.
Right. It's really helpful to be able to see everything that a student has done to make those kinds of recommendations.
Next slide. Ooh, which challenge exams is next?
Challenge exam.
I love challenge exams. Again, this is an amazing way to also save time and money using your professional background, personal background, professional studies that are not traditional credit hours. I've had students maybe just work in a specific field for many years. So taking all of that knowledge to test out of some classes. And I'll let Holly get into like sort of the deep part of it, but we love challenge exams. We're here to support you through that process. And it also can combine with the transfer of credit and again, just shorten your program by quite a lot.
Yeah, so after you've received your transfer of credit evaluation back and maybe, you think, well, I think I should have gotten, some of these other courses met. Maybe I have the learning outcomes from some of these other classes that ACHS offers, but I didn't get transfer of credit for them, but I know I have the knowledge for those. We absolutely encourage you to go and take a look at those course descriptions, make sure you're familiar with the content, and then if it seems like a good fit for you, to take that challenge exam. So you're not, again, repeating credit that you don't need, necessarily need because you already have the knowledge and the content of that class covered. And so if I do happen to see, like Amanda was saying, if I do happen to see anything that's on your transcript showing that, maybe you took all kinds of pre-nursing courses, but you didn't take any kind of specific, A&P courses or any, medical terminology courses, but maybe that was kind of sprinkled all throughout a diploma program that you'd taken previously. That's a really good example of something where you might be eligible for a challenge exam. And it's really what you're most comfortable with as a student. If you think you have the knowledge in that, definitely go review those course descriptions, take a look at what the content is in those classes, and then you can fill out the online form to go ahead and submit for that exam application. It will go through an approval process, and you will complete the examination, and then you have to pass with a 70%. Once that's recorded as passed, it will be sent on to our office, and we will record that on your student record, and it will show that class is completed towards your program here.
Yeah, I get this question a lot, Holly. What if I get 75%? Is the C going to show on my transcript or affect my GPA?
That's a really good question. Everything is recorded on your transcript as challenge. So it's going to show with a grade of CHAL, CHAL. It's not going to show any kind of letter grade or pass, no pass even. It's just going to be a place marker showing that you've met the content of that. Lots of institutions list their exam at the very top of the transcript. We just incorporate it into the classes that you've taken. Whenever you do complete that particular challenge exam, it will be listed within that term on your official transcript.
Perfect. And the other thing I was going to note is some classes are an actual like the final exam for that course, but if the course has a paper as the final requirement, there may be a paper that is quote unquote the challenge exam. And so when you sign up to test out, student services will support you with what that looks like and scheduling it and getting it going, honestly. We really love it when students take challenge exams, and Holly gives us so many recommendations. So for example, I had someone that had a class that was not quite enough credits to transfer in because it was one of those quarter credits, so it didn't quite meet our 3-credit requirement. She makes professional recommendations about challenge exams for us. And then again, if you've shared with your admissions advisor, for example, you've never earned a professional aromatherapy degree, but you've worked in the aromatherapy field or taken other professional studies at non-traditional schools, we're going to suggest maybe you challenge Aroma 101 and get into the good stuff that you're ready for. So yeah,
definitely. And Jen here mentioned, Jen is our registrar and she's here today. And so I'm glad she put this in here, that our challenge exams are noted at the top of the transcript. Thank you, Jen. I didn't know that. I thought they were incorporated term by term. So ours are much like other institutions where they list all of the challenge exams. They're right at the top, like the transfer credit.
Yeah, perfect. Next slide. So far, do we have any questions? Everyone attending virtually, I know it can be a little bit anxious figuring out all of this out. And I just want to clarify that upon officially being accepted, that's when we officially notify the registrar's office. We have a new accepted student to the college, and they start that transfer credit process. And we usually hear back within 48 to 72 hours. If there's a unique situation and we need to do an unofficial review before you apply, your admissions advisor is happy to assist you in working with the registrar's office behind scenes to help us get an idea of what that looks like before you're through the formal admissions process itself. So just always communicate with us, and we usually have solutions to support you. Well, if we have no questions so far, I think we can go
Amanda,
on. And again,
I did have one come in to the Q&A that I didn't see before. And I think it may have been touched on already, but excuse me, sorry, I gotta pull it back up here. Oh, no, it looked like it was withdrawn. Sorry to interrupt here.
No, we don't want to miss anything.
I think you had already covered it, but Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, how to formally apply and enroll. So I'll take this on.
Oh, sorry to interrupt again. I found where it was listed. I was in the wrong
Perfect.
tab. If a school has closed for some reason, is there advice on the best way to track down transcripts?
Yes. My advice is there's usually two or three main things that happen. When a school that was fully accredited closes, they usually have an agreement either with their state office, like the Oregon Department of Education, or another college that's holding those records. So typically what I do is I do an immediate Google, the name of the school and the city and state where that student attended. So I'll search that way because stuff will pop up letting me know like, oh, a good example is Ashford University. There were a fully accredited college they eventually closed down, and University of Arizona Global holds those records. So they're actually really easy to order electronically. It's just knowing that that's where you order them from. If I'm not sure about who holds the records, I also will go directly to such as the Oregon Department of Education, Texas Department of Education, New York Department of Education. And they always have a list of schools that have closed that were accredited, and they'll tell you, usually somewhere on their website, there'll be a page once you dig in, who holds those records. Sometimes their actual office holds the records, and they'll have a small paragraph on how to order those. So there's a lot of different ways, but typically I literally Google the full name of the school, city and state where the student attended, plus the plus mark, and official transcripts, and that's where I get started on navigating it. If those two things don't work, I double check with the US Department of Education to find out who accredited this school when they were open. Sometimes we can go straight to the website of that accreditor and find out through them who holds the transcripts or records. And to be totally honest, I'd say 9 out of 10 times we can find the records, and we're here to help you do that. So never worry about not finding them, because if you did a year of classes at a school that closed, it's okay that they closed down. There's all kinds of reasons schools close, and it's not always for a so-called like a bad reason. Maybe a school was purchased, they grew, they changed names. There's all kinds of things that happen. So as long as they were actually accredited, we want to try to get those and maximize, again, potential transfer of credit and save you time and money. If you paid for your education, let's try to make use of it where we can. So yeah, we're here to help you figure it out for sure. Oh, I got very into that. We're going to the next slide. So how do you formally apply? So once you have found the program that aligns with your goals, your passion, the next step is formally applying, and of course, ordering your official transcripts. When your application is complete and all transcripts that we're expecting are received, we move your file over to the admissions committee. And one of the benefits of us being a small school, you usually hear back in about 48 hours to 72 hours on your acceptance. Once we have notified you of your acceptance, we notify the registrar's office so they can do the transfer of credit review. When that comes back, we review your transfer of credit and help you build your first year of classes, and then put together your sources of funding. So if you have a scholarship from the Peace Corps and you're making some monthly payments, you have military benefits, or you're wanting to use financial aid, we're going to help you through all the steps to secure that funding. Once your funding is secured, we then finalize your enrollment. And I want to note that because I know at a lot of colleges and universities, it's very common. You can schedule yourself for classes and get started without having funding secured, but we never want anyone in a position to not have funding in place and find out a few weeks into your semester. That does not set you up for success. So we work with you to have that funding in place so you don't have to stress and worry, you can just focus on actually being a student. Once you're enrolled, we do have a new student orientation where you get to meet our student services team and complete all the orientation tasks while learning to use the online classroom and get comfortable with it. And then you start classes. So again, admissions and honestly, all the support staff, like the registrar's office, we're all here to be your resource and advocates each step of the way and make it as seamless as possible. Next slide. Oh, upcoming terms. Just to throw this out here, I know summer is just starting, but our summer classes actually started in May. So for students that have time this summer, they are, well, you're excited to study something that makes you thrive in the everyday world. We can help you jump into your program at the end of June. So our summer 2 session, what I call our mini session, starts at the end of, well, I guess a month from now. And so anyone applying for classes, we still have space and you're able to take 1 or 2 of your, foundational courses like Nutrition 101, Aromatherapy 101. We have a wellness and coaching class we're offering. And we also have a handful of graduate classes. So we can help you get started. The application priority deadline is tomorrow, but we'll keep accepting applications until the cohorts are completely full. And then for students who need to start in fall, we do have classes starting September 3rd. Registration opens next week for fall. So we are now officially taking applications for September semester as well. So you can submit your applications anytime this week for either terms, and we're going to help you get going. Questions? Of course, we've reiterated, we're all here to support you. So I don't want to keep, be boring, but I have an amazing team of admissions advisors. You may recognize some names or faces if you've already started working with somebody, but everyone is very knowledgeable and experienced in the field, whether it's coaching you to the right program, navigating ordering transcripts, navigating using VA military benefits. We really pride ourselves on the personal student-centric focus we have and you knowing that we're here to be your person. And so we're here to work with you closely and help you achieve your goals. So you can always reach out to anyone you'd like. We all have a little bit different schedules depending on where we're at throughout the US. So we have flexible hours, or you can just go online and make an appointment for a time that works best for you with any of us as well.
And we want to thank you all for joining us today and kind of walking through this with us. Again, the transfer of credit process and how it all works at ACHS is a pretty common question that we get. So hopefully this was informative to you. We a little bit after the webinar wraps up, we'll be sending out a recording to everyone, but I want to kind of direct your attention to the social media on the screen there, especially the YouTube ACHS TV. Wealth of information there, previous webinars that we've done, webinars from the academic team, different course descriptions, videos about what each course is about, very informative, and even some just some fun things to try out. So I would recommend taking a look at that. And then we're, as Amanda said, we're here to help. So you can always submit your application, submit a request for information, and we'll be in touch with you shortly. So
Have an amazing day, everyone. Take
thanks
care.
Thank you,
all.
everyone.